Hello, we are somewhere between a film and TV podcast. I am Daniel Para,
And I am Erwin Trejo.
and this is our first episode. If you don't know who we are, or if you'd ever listened to us before, essentially what we like to do is we like to review movies sort of how you would as friends, or just like a discussion after you've seen something, and we'll allow ourselves to get a little bit off topic, but we'll come back around. We'll do a spoiler free section, a spoiler filled section, and that'll be that. This week is Venom Let There Be Carnage, which actually surpassed the first one in terms of box office, especially it's remarkable considering everything in the world. But to preface, we'll give a little bit of our thoughts on the first one. I'll let Erwin go first. Erwin, what did you think of the first Venom movie?
I thought the first Venom movie was pretty average. Of course, anytime like Venom showed up, I was entertained, but everything else with when it came to that movie, it was just pretty standard. I would say, like it was just hard to keep keep my eyes to the film and everything when I
I
was watching it.
I would agree with that. I thought I've seen it a few times now because it's been a few years, and I don't particularly enjoy the first half that much. The second half, the moment Venom is on screen, find it a much better movie. Any scene with Tom Hardy and, well, Tom Hardy playing against himself, really, I think works extremely well. And it's really one of the only elements of the first that I remember. An important distinction is that Ruben Fleischer directed the first one. He was behind movies like Zombieland, which I love. Um,
Oh yeah, that's true.
he was, yeah.
Oh, I
And
wonder if he was the one who casted Woody Harrelson for the second one.
you would think he got a. I noticed this in the credits. He got a producer credit,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm not sure if he got a story by or not because I know that Tom Hardy did, and I believe Andy Serkis did. I could be wrong on that, but if I were to give a firm score, not that you should like really be looking for scores or anything, I'd give the first Venom a extremely solid 6 out of 10. I don't think it's anything special. I, as a matter of fact, I'm whenever I enjoy something, I don't particularly hate elements of something that I like, but there are things in that movie that I just flat out hate, and that's fine. Riz Ahmed as a villain didn't make any sense to me really. I think he's too good of an actor for what they give him to do. But what do you think about just overall about the first one?
Well, yeah. Honestly, it's probably a film that I wouldn't really. I guess it's more like background noise kind of thing. Where I think if it's playing, I'll probably watch it. But it's something like I can multitask and while doing other things while watching that movie, and I'd still be fine with it. But overall, I think I would also I'd probably give it like a six as well, barely, just
Yeah.
because I know like the parts with Venom and Tom Hardy are just really entertaining, and you're just like, oh, I like this dynamic a lot, And so whenever they did announce the sequel to it, I was just like, okay, I am excited. So which means I feel like through that, then I'm like, okay, I actually like Venom enough where I'm like, okay, I can watch the second one then.
No, I completely agree with you. I was telling you this story about when I saw the first one. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I thought it was really weird because I saw it at 4:30 p.m., which that's just really strange. That's a usually the show times are like 7 p.m. They used to do midnight. You remember that?
Oh
But
yes.
I remember I saw Twilight Eclipse at midnight when it came out.
What?
I am so cool. Um, and
Honestly,
this
the only Twilight movie I remember is the last one, and that's only because of like audience's reactions.
oh, because of the I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, like that twist at the end.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, no spoilers, but I'm like, that movie's been out for like years.
No, I know. It's just it'd be funny if somebody was like, "I cannot believe you're ruining Twilight for me right now."
I know. I don't want to do that to them.
It feels so
I
bad.
know that feeling.
Yeah. Like, imagine not knowing. As a matter of fact, I know someone who doesn't know the twist of Sixth Sense, which, if you could believe that or not. But I remember at the
There's
end,
no way.
I know, at the end of Venom, I was kind of like, it was okay, it was fine. The
Yeah.
only reason I remember it is because this is a superhero movie. If it were like anything else, I'd probably walk out and be like, a few weeks later, maybe like, oh yeah, I saw that movie. It was fine. And essentially, this kid was like, that was the best thing I've ever seen. He like loved it, and I was like, you know what, power to you, man, because I didn't feel that way. um, we have a friend who just adores this movie, and
No, I don't know. I don't know anybody who talks about the first Venom movie, even though it made $1 billion. I
that's a
don't know.
that's a thing we always used to joke about. We always used to be like, why did this movie make $1 billion? It was critically reviled when it came out. No one, as a matter of fact, a lot of the reactions to it, because you know how like they'll do the Twitter reactions where they'll be like, oh, they just give like brief summations before they give actual reviews.
Uh-huh.
I remember a lot of them were like, "This is one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen." I don't think it's that bad. I don't even think it's.
No,
I don't
not at
think it's
all.
bad.
We definitely seen worse. I don't know what people mean whenever it's like one of the worst movies. Like I feel like they only say that kind of stuff though, just to get like attention
Yeah,
for themselves, and then instead of like toward the movie itself. Because when you go, I think that's when like I think that's when people like actually enjoy it. Because when you say it's the worst movie ever, and then they go in and they're like, that wasn't bad.
well, it has to be
Like,
strongly worded, or else you'll just be
yeah,
like, "Oh, it was fine." No one ever wants to hear that. You can't just hear like it was a okay experience.
yeah, that's
And
true. Or we could be like those commercials where they're like the number one movie in the world for like a week, and then another movie comes out.
and then
I love
yeah,
those.
no, I know, and they make sure to market it. That's for sure. But going into the second one, the trailer that came out for it, I was like, okay, this looks like it's leaning heavily into what works in the first one, and that's the relationship between, Tom Hardy and Venom, just Eddie Brock
True.
and the like dynamic that they have with each other. The trailer's funny. It shows the that one scene where Venom's making breakfast for Eddie, which I think really encapsulates just the tone of the second one.
Hmm.
And honestly, when this one started, I was like, okay, this knows what it is. I think this one is just going to fully go for whatever the first one was trying to do, or at least the elements that the first one was trying to do that worked. Do I think that this one is a better movie overall? Yes, completely. I can definitively call this one good. Does it have an extreme amount of problems still? Yes. And we'll get further into that later on. But I can definitely say I liked this one. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I feel like I definitely like the second one more, but at the same time, it's like I still think I would give it the same rating,
Hmm.
but I would definitely watch the second one more than the first one, just because it's shorter.
That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, yeah, if you want to watch something that's kind of mediocre, kind of okay, but it's only 90 minutes, I know exactly the movie for you.
No,
Yeah,
but then like I don't. I'm trying to remember the trailer right now because it's like I don't know if they were trying to market it as like a horror. Okay, not like horror, like straight up horror, just but like more on the aspect of like Carnage, right?
yeah, that's
It.
what it was. They
Uh,
marketed it to be. I remember a lot of it was teasing Woody Harrelson, and I think
yes.
he's great in this. Is he in this a lot? No, which is
No.
really frustrating, honestly. But like I said, we'll get more into that as we go further along. I think,
Mhm.
like I told you, I was watching an interview with Andy Serkis and Tom Hardy, and they were like, "We always wanted this movie to be an hour and a half." And do I understand the approach to doing that? Yes, because I guess they didn't want it to be paced slowly. But there are so many ideas in this movie that I think could be further expanded upon that it felt to me like they were throwing them out the window for the benefit of a shorter runtime.
Hmm. I think it's more like the audience. So I think they were just going based off of like what the audience wanted. Because how I guess okay, I'm thinking like the studio behind it, like Sony, didn't expect Venom to make that much money nor attention, and so I guess they probably like had like that like an audience test and like see like, okay, what are your favorite parts, right?
Right.
And of course, everyone would say like Venom, of course, Venom and like the dynamic and everything. So I imagine them just just only showing parts with that, and of course they try to continue the story and try to make sense of it. So you always have like those other characters like I'm trying to blank Michelle Williams' character. I don't
Right.
remember.
And
And yeah, but like stuff like that. And then like with Carnage, I think it was just like it's just like the same thing as Venom, but just less empathy you
right.
have towards Carnage.
Well, Woody Harrelson's casting is kind of inspired because number one, anytime you see an evil person, you're like, "Yep, they're bald." Um, but although they give him red hair in this one, which is a choice. And do you remember his wig from the first one, like the mid-credit scene?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, his it was awesome. But I like that they never acknowledge that he just changed his hair.
He just got a haircut.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Woody Harrelson's having a great time as this character. I think that he should be utilized a bit more in it. But like I said, it's kind of a detriment that the movie's as short as it is because it needs to get through all this stuff to show you the scenes with Venom. And I agree with someone who said this that I know. They said that this works really well as a comedy. I'm not sure it works well as much else. And that's kind
But
of
even
some.
for a comedy though, it's just like I felt like yes, I did laugh, but like a lot of scenes. But like even then, it's like if it is being marketed as like a comedy, then it's just like I don't like. I'd say it failed because I feel like most comedies like I enjoyed it from like beginning to end,
Yeah,
especially if it's an hour and a half.
I thought it was really funny. I was kind of distracted by some of the like other problems I had with it. Like I think both of these movies. I know that there's only so much you can do with two of the same sort of character, like two Venoms, or this is kind of a problem with the Transformers movies as well. There's only so much you can do with a character like Venom and then another character that's exactly like Venom in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the action. I thought the action was extremely standard. There's barely any in it at all. There are maybe two action scenes in it, which is like, you know what? If you want to do that, it's not a problem. I'm not like desperate to see that all the time. If you want to try and approach a superhero movie differently, that's totally fine. But I feel like this one wasn't trying to be that different.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Um, I think like the only like the major problem is probably just its runtime because it's just I guess it just shows because if you're not having a good time, then I feel like I guess you can like feel like the sense of like how slow it is, but if you are enjoying it, then I don't know, like you don't even feel like usually with an hour and a half movies, it's just like you don't feel that sense of like oh that went by fast, you know.
Right.
It felt honestly it felt like a 2 hour movie kind of thing. But then when you find out that it's hour and a half, you're like that was an hour and a half.
Yeah,
I guess yeah. I guess you could have had more depth with like just more like with Woody Harrelson's character.
and with Naomi Harris, who we haven't even gotten to yet, the other villain of this movie.
Oh yeah, Shriek. I don't remember her character name.
Yeah, and she was fine. She was like a
Yeah,
lot of this movie. A lot of it was
yeah,
serviceable. It
true.
was there to be there, which I with the first one, I've since I conduct experiments, I would like ask people what they thought of the first one, and everyone's seen that movie. It's crazy. Like I didn't think, like I said, it was critically panned. It's at 29% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. I think
Oh,
the last time I checked, this one is fresh. It's at like 60. It could have gone up, it could have gone down, I'm not sure.
but even that is still that's still pretty high.
Yeah, which I understand it being there. I understand the like aggregate being higher on this one because this one knew what it was for sure. And it reminded me, I don't know who's nostalgic for old 2000s superhero movies like Daredevil or the earlier X-Men movies, the kind of okay ones like X-Men, X-Men 3, X-Men 2 is amazing. But that era, like Elektra, if you are missing that specific type of superhero movie for some reason, you will love these two because
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
they really want to be that, which I don't have any fond memories of them really. I remember I used to be obsessed with the Ghost Rider video game on Game Boy Advance, and I thought Ghost
I would
Rider.
watch the first Ghost Rider a lot. I remember that.
It's because all the stuff with Nicolas Cage was really cool. Like when
Yeah, it
he
was.
would actually turn into.
And then as a kid, though, like you created the CGI, you made the CGI better in your head. You're like, well, this is amazing. And
Right.
then you watch it now, you're like, what was I thinking?
No, I know that there was a movie I was watching recently that I was like, this looked a lot better back then. And I can't remember the name of the movie for the life of me right now, but it's true. It just that happens. And something I want to get into is we're gonna get a little bit off topic for a second. So usually what we'll do is we're gonna try and do these reviews after like the weekend that they're coming out. But the reason why we didn't is we attended ACL and had a great experience. How how was your experience there, Erwin?
Where ACL?
Yeah,
It was good. It was really good. First time. It was amazing. I would
yeah,
definitely go there again. Probably do a 1 day, not 3 days. 3 days. That was a lot.
yeah. I personally didn't get to attend the third day because I had stuff to do, which sucks because I my favorite performance was on not well. I didn't get to see the performance, but my favorite artist performed on the third day, which is Tyler the Creator. Out of all the people in the lineup, I would say my favorite of everyone that was there, though, I really love Dayglow, though. But
Oh, Dayglow. Yeah, that was amazing.
yeah, did you have a favorite performance that was there?
Um, I like Greta. I like Greta. Of course, like I loved like Tyler the Creator. That was definitely like my favorite one, just because it's like it's just crazy. Like it's, I think it's like of course it's like they practice on the performance and everything, but at the same time it just felt like improv,
Oh yeah,
like a lot of it. You know, I'm pretty sure some of it is, but like it just felt like he was just guessing throughout and everything. And I was just like wow, but I really like Greta Van Fleet, and then I just like watching Doja Cat.
yeah. No, I thought Doja Cat was that was a great performance,
Yes.
and our friend, his name is Jack. Uh, he's not the biggest on like current pop, and these guys,
You can honestly say that he just didn't like he didn't know any of it, like none of it.
right?
If,
Yeah,
if there was no metal playing, then like no,
and
and like it's really old music, and then if it's not Halo is like Halo soundtrack, then no.
it's just funny like hearing somebody's reaction. He's basically the soul of an old 50-year-old boomer man trapped in a 22-year-old person's body. But kind of coming back around to it, I think I want to give our final thoughts before we get into spoiler territory. I'm going to say overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun diversion, and if it weren't Venom, I probably would forget about this, but it wasn't the worst way to spend my time. My overall score, personally, out of five, would be a 3.5. And that's something I can firmly stick with. I think. Wait, are we doing out of 10 or are we doing out of 5?
I feel like it'd be easier out of five.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, because yeah, I feel like out of five would be easier.
Well, we called Venom a 6 out of 10, then I guess I can change that to a
Right.
3 out of 5, which is. That's the exact same. I'm sticking with that then. And those are my overall thoughts on it before we get into spoilers. Erwin, how do you feel?
I definitely say I think it's definitely a movie worth watching again, but not. Yeah, it's a movie worth watching again. I would give it a 3 out of 5. But like, I feel like I would give both those movies the same score, but I would just watch the second one more, just because it's shorter and I get more out of Venom and then like Carnage as well.
I think.
So,
Have you ever heard the term TNT movie or FX
TNT.
or
I
FX
know
movie
the channel.
or like an FX movie? It's basically where
Yes.
you're watching something.
Oh my God. Yes. I'd see that right there.
Yeah. You're watching something and you're like, this is gonna be on TV all the time, and you don't have to think about it much. Like any of the, I hate them, but any of the Gerard Butler movies, Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh
I
yes.
don't like any of them. They're all bad. But if you were to see them on TNT
They would
or on
always
FX,
play on FX. I remember them playing like Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
the Tim Story ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and say if you don't want to listen to further spoilers, you can go ahead and follow us. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we could talk about, whatever your overall thoughts are. And I'm Daniel Para, and you can follow me at Para323Para on Twitter. And just give us a shout out. Let us know you listened. Let us know what you thought. And Erwin, what about you?
Oh, you can also follow me at Erwin_Trejo.
And that's it for us. If you don't want to listen any further, this is your final warning. We're about to get into spoilers for this movie. The first thing I want to address is incredibly obvious. It is the best part of this movie by a mile, which is kind of a backhanded compliment, but I don't mind giving a backhanded compliment to this movie.
I'm surprised we didn't say anything about like that best scene
Yeah, I really
in like the spoiler-free one.
no, I really wanted to. So obviously the end credits for this, if you'd heard anything, you were like, okay, so Spider-Man is in this in some capacity.
Yes.
And I think I was telling you, I was like, I think Sony is incredibly bad at marketing things a lot. And
They really are.
I was watching
I can imagine this like the second trailer coming out for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah. No, well,
Because how much like I just hope like they just don't give us everything. I don't even want to tease. Like I because everyone's gonna go watch it. That's the thing. Like everyone's gonna go watch it. I don't know why there's a need for everyone to like to see everything in a 2-minute trailer.
Right, yeah. Me personally, I think Alfred Molina showing up in that is enough. Like if you know the context of that at all, you're good, but I feel like they might underestimate general audiences because that's just how it is. But with Sony, I think they cut the Spider-Man trailers pretty well together in terms of Far From Home and Homecoming. But
I think it's because like they cut out like scenes. Like some scenes weren't even in the movies.
Oh yeah, which is just that's.
I mean, they could be doing that too. So I don't know.
But here I'd seen a TV spot that said, "Oh, the universe is expanding," and then it shows that scene of Carnage, Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy, where he's like, he smashes the spider that's crawling on his hand, and then it says, "Oh, the universe is expanding," or it says it before or after, and I was like, "Okay, so Spider-Man is in this somehow."
I don't know why they do that kind of stuff. What the heck?
Yeah.
The universe is expanding, but without Carnage.
Oh yeah, no, he dies. Okay, so
no, okay. Like if they were gonna tease it, why wouldn't they just have like Venom like near a spider or something? Then instead.
No, I know.
And then like say that part after, but I don't know.
Do you remember in Amazing Spider-Man 2, a trailer came out for it, and at the end it shows a suit and it shows like a symbiote swinging in the background?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah, that was insane.
I do.
That movie's marketing is horrible, but the movie was fine.
That's crazy. I still remember that when that trailer came out. I was so hyped up. Oh my god, because like they showed everything.
Yeah, literally everything. That movie beginning to end, they show.
Man.
No, I was trying to get into it earlier. I was like, I just think they severely underutilized Cletus Cassidy as a character. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I know you are too. It and I've read a lot. Maximum Carnage is a great storyline if you'd ever like to read that. So them killing him, I was like, I don't understand the choice to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't. We were talking about this. I don't know if it's a what Andy Serkis's style is yet as a filmmaker. I think it's interesting that he directed this. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I was looking at his other movies as well, and you're just like, there's no. I guess there's no consistency. Which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because there's other directors like that as well.
Right. Yeah, and it's okay to do different
Mm.
genre. Obviously, like Ryan Johnson is one that I can think of off the top of my head. Um,
Wow.
yeah, we can get further into that some point in our
Yeah, Knives
lives.
Out is great.
I do love Knives Out. Knives Out
Yes,
is an all timer. Yep.
great
But
movie.
absolutely. And I don't know. It's I thought the relationship between Eddie and Venom was great. Of course, their whole. That's why I said this movie does a lot of weird comedy tropes or like I don't want to say cliches because that always cliche as a word always sounds kind of like oh that's a negative, but
I
they
think you say the word cliche sounds cliche.
no
I was like, I mean, yeah.
that's a cliche thing to say.
Saying cliche is a cliche.
I've said that word too many times.
Yeah.
But they do the same plot point in like 22 Jump Street. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna break up now because we had an argument," and then like naturally, big third act is like, "Oh my God, we were friends this whole time. I miss you." Which I think the scene that stands out in my mind is hilarious. It's the one where Venom goes to the rave, and that's why I was like, okay, this movie's sense of humor, it's aware of what it is, much to a detriment of itself, honestly, and that's fine. But there were enough ideas there that I was like, you could either expand on just the one thing or like I said, there's a plot element of this where Carnage calls Venom his father, which leads to a funny joke with a priest, which is why I say I think this movie would much rather make a joke out of whatever it's doing rather than actually follow in any kind of story, which can be okay. But that
Mm.
idea alone, I think, is interesting enough to carry something in a movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really like that whole, I guess, like that one line where it's just like father and like son or whatever. But I feel like since they're both typically the same, like they're the same, Carnage and Venom, right?
Yes.
And from that, it's just like, how can you contain Carnage and like have him continue on? Because if you can contain Carnage, you can also contain Venom as well. But then again, it's just like, I don't know. I really like you said, though, like, I wish we would have seen more of Woody Harrelson. Just, I feel like not just Woody Harrelson, but like his character before Carnage. Just like to understand more, and like they could have probably like delved in more into that whole like, I don't want to say Hannibal Lecter, but typically like a Hannibal Lecter kind of like vibe.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a line that straight up addresses this. He's like, people love serial killers. I'm like, yes, that's true. That's why I don't understand why.
Yeah, please expand. Like, I want to know more about you.
Yeah, I was like, clearly, this movie knows that. I was like, there could easily, he could easily be a supporting role as just Cletus Cassidy, the serial killer, like on the loose before, in a different movie before he ever becomes Carnage.
True.
And something we didn't get into, but I'm thinking about because Carnage in the cathedrals, there are a couple of actually really pretty shots in this movie. It is
Hmm.
much better looking than the first one.
Oh yes. Oh my God. The first one, it just felt like a big slob, and you're just like, what am I even looking at?
I saw a clip from the first movie earlier today, and it's the one where Venom, you know how he does the head thing where he like comes out of Tom Hardy's side,
Yes.
which I've always been curious if he gives Eddie head or not because I feel like that's possible. But and
What?
they have that
What?
relationship with
I
each other.
never. Oh my god! What? I. Okay.
You get on it.
A head for a head.
His tongue.
Okay.
It's really long.
Okay. Yes, it is long.
It's really long.
You know, like, they have these masks.
But the scene itself, it was so gray. It was unbelievably gray. I had to like how whenever you have to turn the brightness up on something because
Yes.
on your
I know what
phone.
you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's how I felt. And I was like, no way, it actually looks like this, but it does. I can definitely say this though. It's funny because we're getting more into Woody Harrelson specifically, I guess, because just he's a great actor. He's a phenomenal actor, and
Yes.
I think that he was actually a good villain, unlike Riz Ahmed in the first one, which I don't want to try and compare this too much to, but they are
Hmm.
like each other. Riz Ahmed I hated. I didn't like whatever villain he was. I think he was Riot, which not like their names matter that much. They're all big blobs essentially,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I just felt like there were a lot of things that this movie did just fine, and I think that's frustrating because they could be done better than just fine.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Like Shriek as well. Like that's an interesting thing. Shriek and like Carnage, like their relationship, because basically like they're both opposite, and I would love to see more of that. Because you got like like they gave a hint whenever like after Carnage like breaks her out and everything, and then you get to hear Shriek, and then like Carnage like freaks out onto her, right?
Right.
And then like at the very end, like Carnage like freaked out on her again. But like I wish we saw more of that.
No, I agree with you. I think Carnage's dynamic, just as a character alone, being different from Woody Harrelson, I
Uh
feel
huh.
as if him already, Cletus Cassidy, isn't in it a lot. Carnage is in it even less, and he barely says anything.
That's
But
true. Oh,
this,
but like that's also another thing then, because it's like Venom like the symbiote itself has so much personality
yeah,
compared to like Carnage. You know, that's only because it's like what's being shown. So it's just like makes you wonder like what is like that symbiote thinking like, and it's just I wish we had like seen more of that then.
yeah, aside from being evil, why does Carnage want to kill his father Venom? Do we ever know?
Yeah.
No, not really. And that could be explained more, maybe because he wants some kind of power or something, which is a really generic villain reason to do.
Hmm.
But give me some sort of reason at least. And
I didn't know they get bigger after eating a human.
oh yeah,
I didn't know that until like after Carnage ate one and he actually got bigger and I was like, oh, I guess it's like, or no, he said level up. Didn't he say level up?
he did, yeah,
Yeah.
like a video game character.
Yeah. It's like whenever I compliment a movie, it's like, oh, that looks like from a video game.
Which has always been not a compliment.
Yeah. Hey, but now like video game movies are like becoming good now. So
they're better. If Free Guy was
yeah.
technically a video game movie, that one was good. Uh, Sonic was okay, but the first 5 minutes of this, I was like, "This is goofy." It was that scene
Yes.
where the I cannot remember what Shriek's actual name is, but her and
Naomi
Cletus,
Harris. I know the actress's name.
not
That's what.
yeah, the character though.
Yes. I don't know. I don't remember her name. Oh, Francis something. Francis something.
Was it
Francis Barron? Let me check. What the heck?
Frances Barron?
Barrison. That's her name. Francis Barrison.
Okay, well Francis and Cletus
Cletus
were like
Cassidy.
in the prison, and they dub their actual actors
Yeah, that was
over,
weird.
and it just didn't work. I don't think it was a really strange choice,
I feel
especially.
like okay. I feel like us we noticed just because like I guess like we've seen those actors and actresses like actor and actress like play other roles and everything, and we notice.
Right, yeah. And no one sounds like Woody Harrelson. Not a person in the world sounds like that dude. So when you see his voice come out of somebody else, you're like, okay, that's not whoever that actor is. Which is confusing because you could just, they have the technology, you can de-age the people, but for whatever reason they didn't want to do that. There are a lot of choices in this that I thought were kind of strange. As a matter of fact, I thought that there were strange technical issues in it, and I don't know if I'm just reading into this because I did see it. We have this like big, it's kind of like a discount knockoff IMAX here, and
Uh-huh.
it's just this really loud theater, and the screen's huge. And there's a line that Woody Harrelson has that transitions the scene, and it feels like the scene almost cuts him off audio wise, which I was like, I cannot believe that that would be on purpose. Although this movie's doing a bunch of weird shit. Maybe it is.
Wait, what do you mean? Like right before the scene cuts to another scene, it cuts like in the middle of his like whenever he's talking.
Yeah, like there's a transition line
Okay.
between two scenes, and he has a line about love,
Uh huh.
and the way it like transitions over, it sounds like he kind of just stops talking. And you know how when you're editing a video or something, if you insert an audio track and you cut it off without easing it out, it just sounds like it's like a hard stop, and you notice it.
Yes.
It's exactly what it sounded like.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but it's definitely there. Also, like I said earlier, these movies are in desperate need of better action scenes. I think that they are so standard, and part of the problem I think is comparing it. And you never want to compare movies to other movies, but Shang-Chi came out like a month ago, and that movie is phenomenal. It has some of the best action scenes, not just in an MCU movie, just like superhero movies in general. So when you compare a lot of the choreography in that to something like this, which is just like two CG blobs like bouncing around each other, it's kind of a problem. Also, I feel like Venom hardly does anything in this movie at all.
No, yeah, I agree. Because it's like I think about this one, it was just more like learning more about Venom, or like just like seeing him just do his thing. Because it's like what you said that when you compared it to like 22 Jump Street, how like when they both got separated,
Right.
like when you made that comparison, now it's just like I just now I think about I need to see that movie again. Let There Be Carnage, just because now I'm like that's all I can think about like 22 Jump Street, but with Venom.
Yeah, which I mean, 22 Jump Street's a much better movie. Watch that. But
Yes.
they just have the same dynamic. Like they're best friends. Of course, they
Hmm.
have issues with each other. A lot of this has been us complaining, but something that I really really liked about it is that a lot of the time you don't see superheroes as like slobs or messy people, and Venom and Eddie are incredibly gross and they live like gross people. Their apartment's trashed all the time, and Tom Hardy's character looks like he like never showers ever, and he's like really unkempt, which I think is a funny decision. Just because, sure, he's not like a superhero because the Venom character isn't. They're going the lethal protector route where they will kill people if they are considered bad guys, which is a run in the comic books, so it's fine. Sort of dealt with the fact that a more serious depiction is obviously not what they're going for here, so might as well like critique what you get. Like, of course, do I think it'd be more interesting if they went that route at some point? Yes. Like, I think all the elements from as much as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, a lot of that movie doesn't work. I think a lot of it does too. And I think all the ideas are there for Venom in that movie. Are they executed
Hmm.
well? Not really, but they are all there.
Do you think it's because it's like? Cause I think what they're trying to do more is just like trying to have Venom. It's its own like main like character in a sense, and then I guess it's kind of hard to do that since it's like how much can Venom go for, like just on his own.
I think so because, like, I mean, Morbius is going to be coming out, which I've never been
Hey,
so
the
not.
audience asked for it.
I've never
I
been so
remember
not excited for.
I was an advocate on the YouTube comments saying, "Where's my Morbius movie?"
God, I cannot believe they haven't made a Morbius movie yet. You have any idea how frustrated I am that Morbius doesn't have 10 movies?
Tell me why they were marketing everything, all the like everything now. Like Sony's marketing everything but Morbius.
Dude, Morbius doesn't feel like a real movie. Do you remember the trailer for that? It came out over a year ago.
Wow.
I love, like, No Time to Die comes out soon, and I've seen that trailer so many times. That movie looks awesome, but
Yes.
there are so
Yeah,
many
that's
movies
crazy.
that have been pushed back that just don't feel real because of the
That's so
pushing them
true.
back
Like
so
whenever
much.
Black Widow was coming out, and you're just like, "What? Finally!"
Yeah, I was like, I refuse to believe that this movie exists until I sit down and I'm watching it. And
Yes.
it was real. I liked that one a lot too. But no, my overall just thoughts on this, I keep coming back around to it, and it's really frustrating because a movie I prefer if it's either great or if it's bad because then you have a strong opinion on it. This one kind of flails in my mind for me just because I'm like, yeah, it was good. Like, a few people had asked me what I thought of it before we started talking about it. And like, oh, did you see Venom? Or they didn't say let Venom Let There Be Carnage. They were like, did you see the magnum opus by Andy Serkis, the film Venom
Who?
Let
I
There
don't
Be
even know who
Carnage?
Andy Serkis is.
That no, they didn't say
They,
that.
to be like,
Did you
hey,
see?
didn't Gollum direct
I
that
was
one
gonna
movie?
say, did you see that Gollum guys movie or Caesar?
Did you see Caesar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what his directorial style is. Do I want to see him make more? Of course I do. I want to see what
Yes.
he can
Me
do.
too.
Do I want to see more Venom, especially what they're setting up with him? Yes. I think that Venom and Tom Hardy carry these both of these movies completely. I think if those two characters, Eddie Brock and Venom, weren't so interesting, these movies would be terrible. They wouldn't be interesting. I was like, so seeing him be utilized in hopefully an MCU movie, they can like play off Tom Holland better, and I really think they could. I can imagine that dynamic working very well.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I can see them just both coming off with one another. I guess I see more Venom and like it's weird, like Venom and Peter Parker slash Spider Man. But I don't see Tom Hardy's character Eddie Brock with like Peter Parker. You know?
An issue I think they've set up for themselves is that Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock is too nice of a guy.
Yes. Yes.
So if they want to make him an antagonist in any capacity, they have to go the route where Venom just fully takes over.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I can see that happening though. But like my thing is just like, okay, at the very end of the credit scene, right?
Right.
Like you see like Venom seems interested, right? Over like that over Spider Man.
Yes.
And so then I wonder like how can I guess like what you said though, I guess like Venom is gonna like have to overpower him. But like I feel like that's so off track of just Venom based off the last two movies.
Yeah, but these movies don't have any kind of real
Yeah, that's
consistency
true.
that they're going for. So I think, honestly, in the sake of fan service, I feel like no one would question it.
That's true. I mean, like when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, just where's Venom? Where's Venom and Spider Man? That's all. And
Yeah.
then just see them going back and forth.
Well, a lot of this, Venom was in it so much that I was never like, oh, where's Venom? But it's funny, anytime he's off screen in any of them, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
can he come back as soon as possible?
Yes.
It's just because they do a really good job of you sort of caring about that character. Like, he's extremely goofy and funny, but like that's what they're going for. And it works really well. in both movies. I thought they even brought up the scene. I always say my favorite scene in the first one is that scene where Tom Hardy eats the live lobster in the lobster tank. I think that scene's hilarious. I was it supposed to be? I really have no idea. But they even mention it in the second one, and that one scene is like the entire tone of this one.
Yeah, that's true. I think because there were okay. I think in the first one, right? Some like there were scenes, yes, that were meant to be funny, and then like other scenes that weren't, but like it was still considered to be, or it came off to be funny instead.
Right.
And so like you said, though, I guess like in the second one, they definitely went for that tone more, but probably just based off the fact of like, oh, this movie's gonna eventually connect to something greater, you know. And so I think that's why Andy Serkis, and I guess like not just Andy Serkis, but like just like the studio and like the producers and everything, they were like, no, make this short as possible and just tell its story. Like tell this quick story because eventually like that's not audience like yes, audience are gonna be excited about Carnage, but they're gonna be more excited about Spider-Man versus Venom.
Right. There are so many stories about studios being evil and stuff and controlling that, and especially
They're the real villains.
especially Sony. That I don't know whether that.
They're playing it smart, making sure they keep Spider-Man at all costs.
No, I know whether that was the case or not, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe that was just their decision to make it as short as possible. But like I said, this movie feels like it just wants to end as soon as it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were calling it a roller coaster ride, which okay, sure, but you would kind of want to sit there for a second and really absorb what was happening. I think, but you can't really critique what you would have wanted. You can only critique what you've got, and what you've got is kind of an okay superhero movie that it was fun.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's like it's gonna be Venom and Venom 2 is probably gonna be one of those movies we'll definitely forget until we watch like the movie with Spider-Man in it, and then
Right.
we'll literally talk about it, going like, "Oh yeah, Venom 2."
Like obviously movies like that I couldn't think of off the top of my head, but you'd be like, that's right, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But overall, yeah, thank you guys for joining us so much. Would you like to know what's next? We are doing No Time to Die, the final Daniel Craig movie in
sad.
I know, in the James Bond series. Am I unbelievably excited for that? Yes, completely. Are you?
Me too.
No, I know.
No, not at all. I think the fact I always forget those movies are long. I never realized it until like after or even before.
I was telling
But
you,
then again, I guess it goes to show that like how good those are. Then.
I was watching Casino Royale again last night, and
Uh-huh.
Dakota, our friend, had never seen it, and he was like,
What?
this movie is still going because it
Yeah.
is structured to kind of be subversive of every single James Bond trope you can think of. Which when we get to James Bond, we'll start talking about that. But I'm a huge fan of the Daniel Craig series. Are some better than others? Of course, but that's just any series. Casino Royale and Skyfall are just beyond phenomenal. And I personally love Spectre, which is a really um, not popular opinion, actually.
I remember like I liked Spectre a lot. I don't remember if I loved it. I think I did. I had to see the movie again.
I did too, and we get to tell a funny story about that next week. But yeah, let us know what you think. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really anywhere you can find a podcast. We are everywhere. And
How do you say it like that?
because we are.
This has been a reference to Ultron.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll also do a review of What If Season 1. So,
Yes.
thank you guys for joining us so much. Once again, I am Daniel Para.
And I'm Erwin Trejo.
And go ahead and give us a shout. Tell us what you thought. I am at Para323 Para again. And you are?
At Erwin_Trejo.
Yep, with the full accent and everything.
Yes,
So,
sir.
thank you so much for joining us. See you next time.